picked up the games for John from Player's Choice, and we're walking through the mall, and I realized I've never
been this way in a long time.
It's been years probably since I've walked past Player's Choice, and the mall is really dead, like every other mall in America. It's like not a whole lot going on here. It's kind of sad. Mallory, malls are dying.
Yep.
Did you know?
Yeah.
When did this happen?
It's been happening.
But when did our mall die?
A year ago?
That's the specific date?
When the Chick-fil-A closed.
The Chick-fil-A probably did more business than anything in there, to be honest. To be quite honest. There's a Bass Pro Shop, and I imagine that still does decent, I guess. Because that's basically like outdoor Walmart. You know, if you want low price stuff, you want a huge selection, you go there. I wonder if that's keeping the mall afloat. I don't know. You can't help but wonder how long it's going to be before that mall doesn't even exist. And then at that point, like what Player's Choice will do. They existed before then. You know, they existed before the mall. They were a store. They've actually had multiple locations over the years, and they've been around for like over 10 years. So I don't think they're going anywhere, but it's just wild to think that a mall that was a part of my childhood is like leaving. I wonder how the other mall's doing. Coastal Grand.
A little bit better, but I don't think a whole lot.
They're in a better location because they're down in the south end where all of the tourism is. Never even introduced the vlog today. Hello everyone. How you doing? And welcome to Monday. So like I said before, went to Player's Choice today to pick up those games for John. At this point, I don't know how many he's missing, but it's like nearly 10. Maybe a little more than 10, but 10. By the time you guys get this video, I'm sure he's completed it, which is super, super awesome. But yeah, it was weird because when we first got there, I went to the bathroom and Mal said, you know what, I'm actually going to walk the mall a little bit. So when I get out of the bathroom, we went to Player's Choice, and then she said, you got to walk the mall and see this. So we walked around, and it was crazy. I mean, we always park to go into Player's Choice, basically, and then we don't go past that. And like Player's Choice is doing great, and their store is fantastic, but it's like a little beacon of light in all of this darkness that is the mall. You know what I mean. Metaphorically, the mall's not actually dark, but there's like one store every 5 storefronts. You know, it's close, 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 and then like Foot Locker. And there's a guy in there that looks bored as sin. And then close, close, close. Oh, are there any restaurants in the food court now?
There's the pizza place.
Oh, that was still there?
And yeah, barely. Remember they had moved locations and then they came back?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that cafe that who knows what they even
Ruby
serve.
Tuesdays?
No.
Ruby Tuesday's still there though, isn't it? I
The
think.
Casablanca Cafe.
I don't even know what that is. Anyway, malls are dying, man. I mean, for most cases, they're already dead, but it's just weird to see it happen to a childhood one. Because I remember going in that mall. That mall used to be such a big thing. I was telling Mal this. There used to be a KB Toys at each end of the mall. Because the mall kind of does like a little like... And on one end of the mall, there was a KB Toys right when you walked in. And on the other end of the mall, there was a KB Toys right when you walked in. And I remember growing up in, you know, the 90s, the early 90s, and there being KB Toys on each end of the mall. And you would go into one of them and look for something, and if they didn't have it, they'd say, try the other location. You know, walk 1,000 feet and go see if the other place has got it. I remember buying certain games when I was a kid. When I was a real little kid. It was before we had a Super Nintendo, back when we had just the NES. I remember going with my mom to one of the KB toy stores in the mall and seeing all the NES games like behind the counter and picking out one. I actually haven't bothered to figure out what game it is, but it was like a Western game, and I think it had a cowboy on the front, but I think it was a kid. It was like a kid cowboy. I should bother like actually looking it up. But I remember buying that game, like boxed and taking it home and playing it. And what's weird is that I don't have a whole lot of memories about playing the game itself, but I have the memories of being in the store that day and like looking up at all the NES boxes and choosing that one to buy. Beyond that, I've had a bunch of other experiences in that mall, some related to KB Toy Stores. There was one actually. The KB Toy Stores were on each end of the mall, and then at some point one closed, and then it moved to the center, because then it like didn't make any sense for there to only be one on the far end. It wanted to be in the center, closer to the food court, and that's where KB Toy Stores was for a long time. I remember going in there one night with Austin, and I had been reading about Advance Wars coming out for the GBA and Nintendo Power, and I was like, this looks really cool. I bought it. Me and Austin stayed up all night playing Advance Wars, doing the hot seat thing where we each take a turn and pass the GBA to the other person. I also bought Dark Cloud 2 there. I remember that very vividly, just on a whim. I think it was shortly. I had always been like a hardcore Nintendo guy, and then I got a PS2 at some point, and it was one of the earliest games I had for PS2. I bought a PS2, and I played Dragon Ball Z Budokai. I got Final Fantasy X shortly after that part, and then I remember I needed another game, and I just bought I don't think I knew anything about Dark Cloud 2, but I knew it was an RPG, and I was like, that's interesting. And I remember being in the KB Toy Store and buying it, and there's just been a lot of good memories, and it's so weird to see that mall, essentially disappear. And soon, the physical building itself may disappear. That's totally possible. It's a weird feeling to see that go away. And I don't know if they're going to repurpose it. I know that we've heard some rumors about it being kind of turned into like an outdoor shopping center type thing, but we don't know. And there's a cinema there, and the cinema, I assume, does very well because it's one of the nicer cinemas we have around here. But the mall itself is like, yeah. It's a reminder that Player's Choice is in such a good location because they're literally across from the cinema, and the arcade is next to them. So anyone waiting for a movie, or a movie just gets out, they check out Player's Choice, or they go to the arcade and play arcade games. So again, they're doing good, but the rest of the mall is like, it's on its last leg. It's kind of sad. Anyway, today, why don't you take the opportunity to discuss dying malls? Maybe there's a mall that was recently torn down or is not doing so hot where you live, or maybe I'm sure somewhere malls are flourishing. Maybe you've got a mall that's fine, and if you do, where are you? Because almost every single mall we've been in the past little bit has not been doing so good. We did stop. Now, where was the place on the trip that we stopped and I went into the mall while you waited in the car?
I don't remember.
That was in Maryland or something. There was one mall we went into, and like it didn't look to me like any of the stores were closed. But Mal was in the car. I don't remember where that was. It was I don't know. It was somewhere in New England. So there's malls out there that are still doing okay, but it's got to be a very like specific community that supports it. And here that has not been happening so much. Thanks for watching, and as always, let's meet back tomorrow, shall we?